Hiya! Today I'm going to be reviewing the Perfect Fit inserts. These are toe pads which are custom made to fit inside your pointe shoe and mould itself to your foot. Unlike regular padding where you normally pad the areas of pressure, they work by filling in the space which is empty in your pointe shoe, and hopefully you can redistribute your weight and therefore take the pressure points away. Now if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know how much I moan about how painful pointe work is. I have awkward feet. They are narrow, I have tapered toes, I have one big toe and the rest are all tiny and just flailing around doing absolutely nothing. My heels disappear, so I have elastic drawstrings which then dig in. My feet are a different shape when I go onto pointe. They go much narrower, which means I then sink in and I put all my weight on my big toe, and I absolutely hate that. Or I sink in and it starts rubbing on my knuckles. And I have sensitive skin. I can't wear jewellery, I can't stand anything that rubs whatsoever, and I'm so fed up of pointe that any sensation I feel in my foot whatsoever, I'm like, right, that's painful. Even if it's not pain, it's just something I can feel in my foot. So I'm at the stage where pointe work is a pain in the arse, and I would quite love something that fixes all my problems. And I'd heard some good things about these inserts. Now, I wasn't stupid. I didn't think that suddenly this would fix all my problems and I'd be amazing at pointe. I am well aware that some of the issues I'm having are either due to my shoe or due to my bad technique, and I'm just not strong enough or good enough or pulling up out of my shoe enough myself. So I'm not placing all the blame on the current padding that I have, but it certainly isn't helping. I started out with toe pads, and then as my shoe got wider, as I broke it in a bit more, I was then sinking into my big toe, so then put a toe cap on my big toe, which helped with the pain, but also then there wasn't enough room in my shoe for all that extra padding, so then that caused extra pressure, so it wasn't wonderfully helpful, and it still didn't help that sometimes my weight went over onto my knuckles instead. I'd heard a lot of positive things about these things. Everyone seems to think that they help with tapered toes because you can then put weight on your other toes and alleviate some of that off your big toe. They are quite expensive, and they only ship from the official website, which is based in the US. So you also have international shipping and then an international currency fee, which your bank charges as well. So altogether, I think these came to about 50 quid, which is ridiculously expensive for a bit of padding that I wasn't sure was going to work. But I thought, I've tried loads of other options already. I don't want to have to go out and buy another pair of shoes. And if these work as well as everybody else says they do, it's worth giving them a shot. They arrived really quickly. They took just over a week to get here. I ordered them on a Sunday. They arrived a week the following Tuesday. Customer services were amazing. I'd made a mistake. I emailed them to correct it. They emailed me back on that Sunday. I was not expecting anybody to be at work then. They were very nice, very polite, very efficient. And they arrived no problem whatsoever. So what you get is a kit to make your own mould of your foot to make these toe pads. So you get several jars of putty, you get one blue and one white for each foot. You mix the different colours together, stick the putty all over your foot, which is an incredibly weird feeling. You then stick a purple sock on, which becomes your toe pad, a bit of plastic over the top of that to protect your pointe shoes, and then you go up on pointe and you roll through your foot. And in about 7 minutes time you have a toe pad. You then repeat with the other foot. It was very easy. They have video tutorials on how to do it. They had an audio tutorial as well, which kept you up with the timing and was sort of saying at what point you need to be doing everything, so you just play that and go along with it, and it worked out fine. And at the end of it I got 2 of these. Now I think it's quite interesting just having a look inside and seeing what a mould of your foot looks like. Now because it's got to suit your foot between every position that your foot can be in, whether you're pointing your foot, you're on demi, you're on full pointe, all of those need to be accounted for. So it's not a solid structure. It is very bendy and squishy and does move around. And also you don't just have columns that your toes go down that are fixed. They are themselves a weird shape. They're not just sort of cylinders or toe shaped. Your toes have got to be able to wiggle within them. So, I found it quite strange that I have no padding underneath whatsoever. I have a bit in the ridge under my toes, between the ball of my foot and my toe pads, but nothing actually under the toes themselves, and I have nothing under the ball of my foot whatsoever. I have nothing under the pad of my big toe either. So this purple dot here is where my big toe is, and there's a little padding up the side, not a lot, and again a little up the side. Most of it is just here, so obviously where my little toes aren't because of my tapered foot. So most of the padding and the gel is putty is down here, and then there's putty across the front of my knuckles here as well. Obviously some putty came out. Any putty that's not needed just comes out the top of your pointe shoe and you can cut that away. And similar on this one, it's sort of interesting to see how asymmetrical my feet are. So actually going up onto pointe in these, the first time felt very strange because the putty takes a few days to dry completely, I found. It's a very weird, squishy sort of feeling. It is a solid mass. You're not going to be able to, once it's set, you're not going to be able to remold it or anything. But you know how when you get a wetsuit and you have the shoes that go with it and you sort of walk along in them and they squelch and you can just have that feeling of something that's sort of squishy in between your toes? That's what these felt like, and it took several weeks for that feeling I don't know if that feeling went away or if I just got used to it. But yeah, it is a different sensation to get used to rather than having fabric on your toes. I immediately felt much more stable with these on. I feel like I can use all my toes now. I can balance on all my toes, because beforehand my toes were absolutely tiny. They're literally just hanging around, floating around, doing nothing. But normally I can't even like use them to point my foot, so I felt like I could definitely work through my foot and the shoe a lot more with these. I felt more stable when I was on pointe. I felt like I had more to balance on, and I definitely felt like I wasn't slipping down anymore, and there wasn't that usual rubbing or pain that I have on my knuckles. However, because these are so expensive, I feel like I should mention some little niggles I have. They aren't outright negatives, but they are things I think you should be aware of. They are made to fit not only your foot, but also your specific pointe shoe. So if you ever wanted to change brands, you need to spend the money again to get a new pair. But they fit. Like, there is no room in that shoe for anything else. If you decide you want to wear a thicker pair of tights, or you want to tuck your drawstrings in, there is no room for it, and you will be able to feel it. Definitely, if you're wearing seamless tights and you suddenly have a seam, you'll be able to feel that seam digging in. Now, I've got used to just having a little bit of extra pressure if I'm wearing a different thickness of tights. But yeah, tucking your drawstrings in and getting them at the wrong angle, especially if you seem to tuck them down the side of your toe, that gets quite painful because there just is no room whatsoever. Another thing, I don't know if it's just because of just my toes or how I went about moulding it, but I have no padding at the bottom of my foot there whatsoever. The only thing between my toe and the floor is this little purple felt pad, and I don't like that at all. My old pointe shoes, I had a squishy bit built into the shoe. I had my toe cap and my toe pad on, so there was quite a lot in between there. I could still feel the floor, but there was a little bit of padding which helped, and now there is nothing, which is actually alright if you have short toenails. If you forget to cut your toenails, it is hell on earth. It is absolute agony. There is no forgiveness whatsoever. It is really, really, really sort of unbelievably painful. But again, that's my own fault. I can't really blame these pads for me not cutting my toenails. As I've mentioned, other than my big toe, my little toes are all really, really teeny, and they do not spread. All four of them are just sort of stuck together like this. So rather than having a little channel that each of them can go down individually, there is just a wide channel that they all fit in, and then there are little ridges, bumps, sort of indicate where each one's supposed to go. Now, if you do not get them in the right place, it will be really, really uncomfortable. I did that once during a show, during a quick change. I did not put them on correctly. They were sitting in the wrong place, and it was very painful for the whole show. But even if you get them on right, they're still, it takes a little bit of wiggling and a little bit of correction to get them into the right spot. And those little ridges do rub on my knuckles, and I think it's just because I do have sensitive knuckles and sensitive skin that I cannot stand any sensation like that whatsoever. So I've taken just putting a little bit of tape over my toes before I put these on, and that seems to have alleviated it a little bit. Another thing to mention is that because these are putty, when you sweat, there is nothing absorbing it whatsoever. The sweat just stays there, so it is a bit gross when you peel them off your feet at the end of class. Only other thing I have to say is that for some reason on my right toe pad there is a little bit of putty, absolutely tiny amount of putty that is just sticking out on the inside of my little toe up here, and every week I can feel that and it just seems to be rubbing. No matter how I rearrange my foot or try to alter my toe pad, it just seems to be a little irritant, and I always take it off and end up with a red mark. So I don't want to sound too moany, but I want people to be aware that it's not a magical fix, and it doesn't necessarily mean that just by chucking money at the problem all your problems are going to disappear. There are still little things that I would like to fix. So I've been dancing with these for quite a while. I think when I have my tape on and I have the right fitness tights on, these are actually quite comfortable. I wouldn't say it was pain-free, but as I've said before, any sensation that I'm feeling in my foot, my brain tends to process as pain at the moment, just because I'm so used to being uncomfortable on Pointe. But I definitely feel more stable and more secure, and I'm not slipping down. So these have definitely helped improve things, and because I feel more stable, I feel more confident on Pointe and more willing to give things a try. So hopefully it also means that in my own time I'll be more willing to practice because I'm not in pain, and hopefully my Pointe work will improve. I will do another update on these again, hopefully when I've been wearing them a lot longer, to see if anything changes, because I've seen a lot of these videos where people wear them once and they have this amazing feeling and they're euphoric and think it's amazing, and then there's no follow-up. So if I haven't posted a follow-up, please someone remind me to do so at a later date.